I don't know that I've ever worked on something that became such a moving target of a story to tell.
Initially, when Natalia and I spoke about doing a video for the nonprofit, our interest was in elevating the stories of men that were in reentry and recovery, and it became apparent really quickly that there was a much bigger story to be told.
All I knew was Cheryl worked with Writers Without Margins, and these guys that were recovering addicts and formerly incarcerated were in a writing workshop, kind of rehabilitating themselves and coming back.
We like to talk about mass incarceration, we like to talk about racial inequality, we like to talk about wealth disparity and addiction, as long as we can be experts. But the truth is, a lot of the people leading this conversation are not experts. And our goal here was to put folks at the forefront of a conversation who have had the most experience and therefore have the most expertise and belong at the table.
Cheryl had trust built with these guys, and I'm just showing up, the film guy that's possibly going to be sticking a camera in their face and asking them questions. So I wasn't sure how it'd be received. We just jumped into the class and did some of the, we analyzed a poem and we did some writing exercises, and I could see the good it was doing in those guys, and I was just, honestly, I was really taken aback by how kind and welcoming and respectful they all were, and there was just an energy in the room that something good was happening.
There are a lot of TV shows and films that deal with addiction, but I think that what's so different about this is their addiction led them to a life of crime.
You can see in their stories what leads them to prison, but I think that what we're also able to exemplify here is what happens when they get out.
My recollection of shooting this project is that it just never stopped changing. And when we first came in that first day at the writer's workshop, I thought it was one thing, and we'd film for a week and we'd kind of show the work being done, and then that would be the story. And you know, what we realized is that it's constantly evolving, and these guys are in a process. Their lives are changing day to day and week to week, and really the curtain kind of got pulled back, and I saw, and we all saw, the uphill battle that they all have just to come back to normal life. That's what led us to kind of following these guys for 6 months and really showing, okay, so that you made the mistakes, fallen into bad circumstances, but how do you get back now? I think that's what the story became.
This is definitely needed because there are too many people out here that struggle. Too many people out here that a simple conversation or showing them an example like, hey, this person was in your shoes. You know, that would give them just an inkling of hope. You know, and that's what this documentary will do.
I think the fact that we are women actually worked to our advantage. I think that the men really opened up to us and didn't feel threatened by us. They had come from a very male-dominated, rough, hostile world within the prison system. And so I think that in many ways we were sort of a breath of fresh air.
This is a movie that on the surface is about men, and in so many other ways it's not about men, right?
No,
it's, you know,
a human story.
It's such a human story.
What makes this so different is that it's not a story about people told by a film crew. It is their stories told by them, and I hope that we've just been a resource to amplify those stories.
I have so much respect for the response and the commitment that these guys have.
This documentary would definitely say, hey, these guys, look at these guys. These would be the example. If no one have seen anybody come out of their situation or their predicament, let these guys be that example.
Our goal, and the goal of the men whose lives we've been following, is to take their stories to schools across the country.
I think if I could say there was one reason we wanted to do this film, it was to demystify the stereotype of the drug dealer and what lies beneath.
So I think what we're doing is challenging people for just a few minutes, you know, or I guess the length of the documentary, to really step into their shoes and to imagine what it would be like